Silent Hill.
Who is your daddy and what does he do?
This is gonna be a long video. So a while ago the gameplay trailer for Silent Hill 2 came out and it looks good. The visuals are amazing. We can see all of the classic locations from a new, shiny perspective. Very cool. It looks like they listened to player feedback from their previous trailer and just made everything better. The combat looks more fun and challenging. Yes, there's a tiny dodge mechanic, but stop crying about it. It's not as over the top as it was in Homecoming. It's so pathetic that you barely notice it. Also, it seems like they removed the QuickTime events, so that's nice. I'll save all of my thoughts on the remake for when I get to the Silent Hill 2 video. I've been yammering about Silent Hill on this channel for a long time, so when I saw a release date for Silent Hill 2's remake, I thought that I should finally actually talk about the game, instead of only referencing it in other videos. But before we get to the second game, we gotta talk about the first one, where it all began. Some people might overlook the original because of all the hype around the second one, but the original is no slouch. It's basically where psychological horror was born, in video games at least. It even does some things better than the sequel. Let's get into it. I usually make a lot of jokes in my videos, but this game is very serious, with some heavy subject matters, so no jokes. I'm going to be completely serious from now on. Nah, I'm still going to say some stupid shit. I've been a long time Silent Hill fan, for most of my life in fact, so I'm going to gush about it and give it a lot of praises and kisses. But, like a strict father, I'll give constructive criticism when it's appropriate. Or not, we'll see. You can find tons of Silent Hill analysis videos on YouTube, tons of reviews, which is fair. It's a really good game and there's a lot to talk about here, but now it's my turn. I hope that by the end of this, you'll find at least one thing that is new and interesting that you haven't seen in other videos. The beginning of Silent Hill's development went something like this.
Wait, you ain't seen nothing yet. Raised lettering, pale nimbus, white.
Impressive. Very nice.
That's basically it. Konami saw how successful Resident Evil got, so they wanted their own version of Resident Evil. So they gathered all of the people who they deemed as rejects and failures, pointed at Resident Evil, and said,
You see this? We want this. Do this, or you will be fired.
クソ野郎.
Also, they told one of the workers that they're gonna give all of the credit for his work to some random guy. So he was literally sleeping at the office for months, just so he could finish everything on his own and get the fucking credit he deserves. What a legend. Then these supposed failures gathered together and made this. This might not seem all that impressive now, but back then, in 1999, on the PS1, we didn't know what to expect. Or maybe we thought that we did, but what we actually got was like nothing we could ever dream of. Also the music, it was composed by Akira Yamaoka, and it's fantastic for this type of game. It's fantastic in general. It gets more emotional and atmospheric in the sequels. It gets emotional here too, but here it's more metallic and rusty. It builds up tension in ways you couldn't even imagine. Even when nothing is happening on screen, you still feel a sense of dread. The sound design in general is top notch. I'm trying to paint the picture of someone from that time being exposed to something so surreal, atmospheric, and psychological. Yeah, players back then played Resident Evil, back when it had really crappy and funny voice work.
I'm Chris Redfield from the Alpha team. Are you the only person here from the Bravo team?
You clearly don't know who you're talking to, so let me clue you in. I am the danger. A guy opens his door and gets shot, and you think that of me? No. I am the one who knocks.
I see. There's nothing else you could have done anyway. It's good you're here.
But there were no video games with this style of horror, with these subject matters. There was literally nothing like it. At least from what I know. Maybe some of you are old enough to remember this, but back in 2006, Game Trailers released a video covering the top scariest games of all time. I love this video. It's like an important part of my childhood. This was before we had things like Slenderman, Five Nights at Poopy's, and whatever else is considered scary now. You know, the good old days. Though we didn't have Amnesia in Dead Space yet, but maybe it's worth it. Anyway, in their list, they put Silent Hill as number 1.
Silent Hill.
Cheryl?
Above Doom 3, above System Shock 2, and get this, it was even above Darkseid, which as you might know, is the actual scariest game of all time. I mean, you literally get mindfucked. Okay, let's be honest, you probably never heard about this game.
She's an extremely beautiful woman. She doesn't seem to notice me staring at her.
Mike, turn around and walk away right now.
I only heard about it because of this list. Silent Hill definitely deserved that number 1 spot, and even all those years later, people still put it as their number 1. Because, as you will soon find out, it's a horrifying experience, in more ways than one. Silent Hill 1 is the birth of psychological horror in video games. Let's finally get to the actual story and gameplay. In the opening cutscene, we saw a man and a little girl driving on a highway. After seeing someone suddenly appear on the road, the man panics and accidentally crashes the car. This is where our journey begins. The journey through Silent Hill. As you know, Silent Hill 1 was released on the PS1. I don't have a PS1, so I'll be using DuckStation, which is a PS1 emulator. I chose to play on the hardest difficulty. Most of the Silent Hill games are not fun on the hardest difficulty. It doesn't really make the game more challenging, it only makes the enemies more spongy. For the most part, the enemies are not hard to deal with on any difficulty. So if you play on hard, it doesn't really require more skill to take down an enemy. It just takes more time. Either that, or the game becomes brutally unfair, like in some boss fights, and the entirety of Silent Hill 4, from what I remember. But in the first game, I would say that it does actually give you a proper challenge. It forces you to run away from enemies more often, which is what survival horror games should encourage you to do. They're supposed to force you to make tough decisions on the spot, fight or flight and all that. Meet Harry Mason, the game's protagonist. He's not a fighter with special combat training. He's not an experienced police officer. He's just an average human. Just like me and you. Probably. He's just a novel writer. He writes stories, though I don't think it was ever mentioned in the game. That little girl that was with him is his daughter. Her name is Cheryl, and unfortunately, she disappeared. So he begins searching for her. Let's talk about the movement for a sec. There's something I haven't seen people mention in any video that I've seen of this game. It's so important that it's mind-boggling that no one talks about it. Which is how if you press the run button while moving backwards, Harry does this little hop. This little cute hop. I mean, who made this? It's adorable. If you ever get scared of this game, just do this over and over again. It will cheer you up. I am joking about it, but it actually can be useful during combat. It helps you to dodge attacks. Also he can strafe and run strafe or strafe run, which is also amusing. I will never use this except for the very end of the game. Harry can fall down the stairs. He can fall down from stairs while hopping. He can bump into walls. After he sprints, it takes him a second to stop himself. You know, like a normal, clumsy human being. It's relatable. Continuing our search, we see a glimpse of Cheryl, but she's not coming to us. She just keeps going deeper into the fog, like something is calling to her. Oh, you're going? Okay, I'ma leave you to it. Bye. I try to go in different directions, but no matter what, the game pushes you to go after her. You know, like a responsible father.
Alright, I get it!
As you might know, the idea of this game having so much fog and mist was done because of the limitations of the hardware. The PlayStation just couldn't load all of the game at once, without the developers reducing the quality of the visuals. Yes, this was considered quality visuals back then. Metal Gear Solid 1 also looked like this. The team made a compromise. Let's keep the visuals, but let's obscure everything with fog, so that the player won't see that there's actually nothing there. It's genius from a technical viewpoint, and shows just how creative that original team was. It's even more brilliant from a story perspective. The fog literally became part of the lore, and is a staple of the franchise. When there's no fog, you can clearly see the game loading the next part of the area. But let's pretend I didn't show you that. No matter how much you might try, the game is telling us, no, you have to go here. You can't go there. There's literally a stop sign. Even if I go all the way here, suddenly Harry spots Cheryl's footsteps and follows their trail. How did you see footsteps from way over there, in the fog? Before we really get into the story, I have to mention the camera. Look at this camera work, man. It's like a movie. It's like someone is watching you. The game has a camera that follows you from behind, but not in a traditional third-person over-the-shoulder way. It leans back, allowing you to see your surroundings. You can spin your character, but the camera will stay at the same angle. But if you want, you can press L2 on the controller, which will position the camera behind your back. Sometimes there's a fixed camera perspective, which is also very cool.
Get to the point already.
I'm getting there.
People want to see the gameplay and the story.
I know, but I need to explain some stuff first.
Okay, but make it quick.
Yeah, okay.
Bitch!
Wait, what? Harry follows Cheryl's trail into an alleyway. Passing through a gate, we see that something is definitely wrong here. There's a pile of gore on the floor. Just a big chunk of meat. We're not sure what this is. What's even more ominous is the faint siren in the distance. You can barely hear it, but it's there. Why is there a siren all of a sudden? We don't have time to figure that out. We have to find Cheryl. Now watch this camera work. I have to mention this part. This is amazing. Look at this. And if you go back, it will follow you in reverse. When people say, oh, this game is so cinematic, dude, and they point to games like Uncharted and The Last of Us, what they actually mean is that those games have a lot of cutscenes and amazing graphics, and it looks like a scene from a movie. Now don't get me wrong, I love those games, I finished them multiple times, but when you look at the camera work during the gameplay, it's nothing special. It's like any other third-person shooter. The most cinematic game that has this camera perspective is probably Dead Space, with how the camera zooms out whenever Isaac gets his shit beaten out of him. Poor guy. But here, in this game, especially in this moment, this is cinematic. This feels like you're watching an actual movie. It's not about how good the game looks, it's about the camera work, the angles, how it moves or doesn't move depending on the character's actions. It's so good that the actual Silent Hill movie did the exact same thing. Okay, back to the story. We still haven't found a map, so our only sense of direction is to just move forward. And every step we take, things just become weirder and weirder. And now, they will become dangerous as well. Suddenly, out of nowhere, it became dark. Like someone just turned off the lights. Harry lights a match, though I'm not sure why he has a match. He doesn't smoke from what I know. Is there another reason to have a match with you besides smoking and committing arson? What's even creepier is the iconic siren. It gets louder and louder. From what I know, this siren was allegedly based on the sirens Japanese people heard during the Second War. As you know, the creators of the game, Team Silent, are from Japan, so they probably wanted to use sirens to convey a sense of terror and panic. And yeah, it's super effective, especially when you play it for the first time and experience it yourself. It's so loud, this game shouldn't be called Silent Hill. It should have been called Siren Hill. Get it? Because of all the sirens? No? I'm sorry. The more Harry proceeds, the creepier it becomes. More and more blood and gore. Maybe it's from a human. Maybe it's from an animal. Maybe something else entirely. You feel a deep sense of isolation in this darkness. But at the same time, you feel so oppressed by the siren. And you feel like at any moment, something might jump at you. I can't stress enough how effective this opening is. And then, we see it. The barbed wired body.
What is this? What's going on here?
Harry, understandably, freaks out. He doesn't know what to do. And it's right at this moment, you get approached by small creatures. They start attacking you. You don't have any weapons yet, which in any other game usually means that you should be safe. In any other horror game that has any kind of combat system, you're never attacked until you get some kind of weapon. But not here. Here it's different. Because you're defenseless, there's literally nothing you can do against them. It's genius design. A very understated, well-crafted subversion. It goes against all of your expectations, if you've played any other horror game before this. For people who haven't played this, it just looks like some little rascals just came out of nowhere and tried to do some dirty things to your pee-pee. But you gotta experience this to truly understand it. And yes, I just spent the last 5 minutes talking about this specific part, which takes just 1 minute to complete. But shut up, I love this part. The only thing you can try to do is run away. The problem is, the way you came from is blocked. You can't get away. No matter how much you try. You have to let them kill you. After this horrific event, we wake up at some diner. Was it all a dream? Or did it really happen? Honestly, even after all these years, I still don't know the answer to that. Though, according to the Silent Hill novel, Harry was rescued by a woman we will meet in a few seconds. I can make a whole video just about the beginning of the game. It's so good. It's so effective. There's so much to say. Even after all of my babbling. But I want to talk about the rest of the game and make my stupid jokes. So let's move on. After waking up, Harry is approached by a woman, which is something that never happens if you're a man. Am I right? They start a conversation, and now I present to you the dialogue.
How do you feel?
Oh, like I've been run over by a truck. But I'm alright, I guess.
Glad to hear it. You from around here? Why don't you tell me what happened?
Wait a second, I'm just a tourist. I came here for a vacation. I just got here. I don't know what happened. I'd like to find out myself. Have you seen a little girl? Just turned 7 last month, short, black hair. My daughter.
Sorry. The only person I've seen in this town is you.
Hey, wait a minute. I saw your bike earlier, on the road. What happened? Did you walk all the way here?
Where is everybody?
I'd tell you if I knew, believe me. But from what I can tell, Something bizarre's going on. That's all I know.
This woman is a police officer, and her name is Sybil. She was on patrol and ended up in this town. As you might have noticed, the voice acting isn't exactly the best, but it's kind of on purpose. Unlike the original Resident Evil, where the voice acting, while having its charm, is just terrible.
No! Don't go! Ouch!
It fits with that game's cheesy B-movie vibe, and it spawned tons of memes.
You were almost a
Jibble sandwich.
But it's still awful.
You're right.
Here it's more of a deliberate choice, sort of. It's a combination of intentional and unintentional badness. It is cringy sometimes, but it adds so much to the weirdness and otherworldly nature of Silent Hill. It was at least partially inspired by Twin Peaks, where you couldn't really tell how a character is feeling or how they're going to act. Characters don't always act like you think they would in certain situations. I'll give you an example from later on in the game. There's a part where someone shoots at Harry at point blank range, and this is how he reacts.
Hold it! Stop! Don't shoot! Wait! I'm not here to fight. My name is Harry Mason. I'm in town on vacation.
I don't know about you, but I don't think that's the appropriate reaction to being shot. The tone of his voice doesn't match the severity of the situation. What he says doesn't suit the situation. It's super weird and there's something really awkward about it. And that's just one example. But all of that is part of the charm and the surreal nature of Silent Hill. Nothing is normal here. Getting back to the story, Sybil says she's going to call for reinforcement, and Harry decides to continue his search.
Hold it. Where do you think you're going?
My daughter. I've got to find her.
No way. It's dangerous out there.
In that case, I need to find her now. Cheryl's my little girl. I can't just leave her out there by herself.
Have you got a gun?
No.
Take this, and hope you don't have to use it.
If she gives me a gun, if a police officer is giving me a gun, which I'm pretty sure is not something that's supposed to happen, that means that she recognizes how dangerous this place is. She even says it multiple times. So instead of being vague about it, why not say something like, oh, I don't know, there's fucking weird-ass monsters out there, holy shit, you won't believe how many monsters. One of them is a fucking monkey gorilla thing. Holy moly. So yeah, something like that. Anyway, a police officer gives a random civilian a gun, and then she says,
and don't go blasting me by mistake.
Yeah, well, that will depend on the ending I'll get, but I'll try to get the good ending. Don't worry. Don't worry. I apologize that it took me so long to get to this part. I really wanted to highlight every cool and important detail. I hope at least some of you enjoyed it. But now, this is where the game actually begins. This is where we're introduced to the save system. Like in Resident Evil, you can only save at specific locations, which are these red notepads. But unlike Resident Evil, you can save as many times as you want. You don't need to carry ink ribbons like you're some kind of freak. Also, unlike Resident Evil, you have an inventory, but it's unlimited, so you can carry as many items as you want. And you don't need to worry about inventory management and weird stuff like a small key taking the same place as a rocket launcher. We can't leave until we pick up the items in this place. Harry feels like he will need them, and he's right, but he's not sure about the radio. Yet. If you pay close attention, you can spot the first enemy flying nearby. After picking up the items, we attempt to leave, but suddenly the radio springs to life, and Harry goes to check it out.
What's that? Huh, radio. What's going on with that radio?
Gotcha, bitch!
We're simultaneously introduced to the first enemy and to the radio mechanic. Whenever there's enemies nearby, the radio will start making distinct noises, which increases the tension if you still can't see the enemies. You know they are there, but you don't know where they will come from. Some people might argue that the radio giving away the fact that monsters are nearby actually reduces the tension, but you can turn the radio off, which I'm not sure is better. Usually when I play Silent Hill games, I stick to melee weapons, because it helps conserve ammo, and most enemies are easy to deal with just by whacking them. But when you encounter this enemy, don't even try to melee it. Usually it flies too high for you to hit it, especially in the beginning, where the only melee weapon you have is this shitty knife that has no range. If you use it, you'll just be curve stomped in 5 seconds. Aside from manual saves, the game also autosaves your progress, so if you die, you can choose to load your save or to continue from the autosave. In survival horror games, conserving ammo is one of the most important things you can do, especially if you're insane like me and you're playing on hard mode, but when it comes to this enemy, just shoot it. Boom boom boom. 6 shots and it's down. You can't reload your guns during gameplay. You have to go to your inventory for that. Harry realizes how terrifying this situation really is, but with no other choice, he grabs the radio and goes outside. We're finally let loose and are free to explore this town. The more we progress, the more we see how much it is in ruins, how destroyed everything is. The roads are literally collapsing, and there's no way in or out. Our only point of interest is the alleyway we've been in the nightmare. And this is where I have to talk about the map. The map in these games was implemented flawlessly. I've never seen a more perfect way to use a map in any other video game. I don't know why other games haven't copied this system from Silent Hill. You don't have flashy arrows or objectives on a minimap or anything like that, though it's funny to imagine it. Instead, the protagonist physically draws whatever progress he made on the map. If he thinks that he should go check something out, he'll draw it on the map. If there's a locked door, he'll draw it on the map. If a door becomes unlocked, he'll draw it on the map. You get the idea. It's realistic. It's really immersive and it enhances the sense of exploration. There's no big arrow on the screen telling you where you need to go. In this game, you are the arrow. Sometimes when you're outside, you need to literally look at street signs in order to orient yourself and determine if you're on the right path. You know, kind of like in real life. I would say the only minor issue with the system is that unless you have a really good photographic memory, you will frequently open the map, which might become a bit annoying, especially since it doesn't open instantly. It takes like 2 seconds, but it's okay. I can take it. I can handle it. And so can you. I believe in you. I think. We make our way back to the alley, and now that sign that said beware of dog makes more sense, because there are dogs now, and they will bite you. We go back to where the small creatures killed us, and find a drawing. Yeah, really looks like you. We finally get a decent melee weapon and a clue. Go to school. We mark it on the map, and finally I can fight like a normal person. Hi doggy. Come here doggy. Come here doggy. Oh shit. In the Silent Hill games, it's not enough to take down an enemy. To truly kill them, you have to come close and kick the shit out of them. Really stomp them to death. Yeah, take that. Now I have to explain the combat. The combat in these games is clunky, weighty, and awkward. And like a lot of people have said before me, that is the point. That is a good thing in this type of game. You don't want to feel like you're some kind of overpowered badass that can hit really fast and perform combos while rolling around like a Dark Souls player. At the same time, you don't want to be entirely hopeless and defenseless. You can still fight back and kill anything you see, including tough boss monsters. You can even move while aiming, unlike how it was in Resident Evil. But you gotta make sure you don't accidentally corner yourself. You have to watch out for the camera. You have to position yourself properly so you will be able to hit your opponent while avoiding damage yourself. The combat can be quote-unquote mastered, but it will always feel clumsy. One-on-one fights are usually fine and perfectly manageable. But more than that, forget about it. Just forget about it, eh? There's a lot to consider while engaging in combat, and I think it strikes the perfect balance. We find a note next to a cliff, which says, "Dog House, Levin Street." I'm already sick of these dogs, but with all the roads to the school blocked, and with no other choice, we make our way to that street. On the way, I stop at a local grocery store, or whatever this used to be, which gives me a chance to stock up and save my progress. It also teases me with some ice cream, but I can't have any. Why are you doing this to me? Is this part of the psychological torture? If you go back to your car and inspect it, you'll find a health potion. And a flying enemy that's trying to walk like a normal person. You almost fooled me. We make it to 11th Street and start searching for the dog house. And of course this area is, well, filled with dogs. We eventually find a tiny dog house. Inside, there's a key taped to the ceiling. We take it and it says house key, which isn't that helpful since there's tons of houses here. The logical thing to do is to check the house near the dog house. I said the word house too many times in a row, but hey, it worked. Finally some progress. Inside, we can take shelter and rest for a bit. Everything's been too weird and horrible so far, but this is only the beginning. We grab some healing items and save our game. Yes, I know it says I've played more than 2.5 hours, but it's not true. It says that because I pause the game every 10 seconds to take notes. Like this one, the one I'm reading to you right now. In reality, I've played for like half an hour, maybe less, at this point. At the end of the game it will say that I've played for 45 hours. Damn. How do you know the refrigerator is empty? You're not even opening it. How do you know that it's empty? We find a door with 3 locks. Next to it is a map with the words Keys for Eclipse and 3 destinations. An arrow, a line, and a circle. We copy it to our map and go back outside to investigate. We run to the first destination while trying and failing to avoid taking damage. Getting there, there's a police car with an open trunk. Inside, we find the first key, the lion key. Next we find the woodman key, next to a dog's head. I'm guessing I'm not the only one who hates these dogs. Whoever did this even played basketball with the dog's head. That's impressive. There's only 1 key left. We kill more enemies, pass a narrow walkway, and find the scarecrow key. You can actually pick up these keys before you even get to the doghouse. It all depends on how much you decide to explore. Very cool. After heading back into the house, we use the keys on the door and go outside, which causes this to happen. Darkness takes complete control. It's like someone just flipped a switch and turned off the sun.
Hold on a second.
something is going on in this place. Something way more supernatural than some dogs and flying shitheads. Here we start to use the flashlight. This is an interesting, kind of strategic mechanic. Obviously, we want to use the flashlight when it's dark, because we want to see where we're going, but the light from the flashlight attracts monsters. So you have this tense situation where you might want to avoid enemies, so you turn off the flashlight, but you risk stumbling into them, because you can't see shit. And if they saw you before you turned off your flashlight, they will still keep attacking you. Combine that with the radio static, and you get a really anxiety-inducing experience. I always keep the lights on, and it's not because I'm scared, okay? It's because I want to appreciate the visuals and the art design, which I wouldn't be able to see without the flashlight. Also, it's usually not hard to run away from enemies, so it's not a big deal if they see you. Usually. Also, when the flashlight is off, you won't be able to pick up items, or even open the map. Seeing a school bus lets us know that we're close to the entrance. Passing by some dogs, we find it and go inside. We're inside Sandwich Elementary School. This is probably the spookiest part of the game. Well, maybe except for the end, but we'll get to that in like 2 hours. Damn. Also, this is probably the hardest part of the game. Yeah, definitely the hardest. Because we're in a new area, we need to find a new map. Which, by the way, maps aren't just given to you. You have to find them yourself. It's totally possible to miss them, and you really don't want that to happen. Playing a Silent Hill game without a map is like driving a car without a steering wheel. It's technically possible, but you'll be bumping into anything that gets in your way, get to a dead end, and die horribly. Usually the maps are in the beginning of the area, so you just need to pay attention. Now we actually go inside and meet a new type of enemy, which isn't technically new. It's the child monsters from the beginning of the game. They're called the Grey Children. You know, because they resemble children and they're grey. You know, you get it. In the North American version, they are replaced with a different creature called Mumbler. Because he mumbles, I don't know. This change happened because they kind of look like kids, and because you can shoot them, people were afraid that the player was basically going to commit a school shooting. Even though this clearly isn't a human child, and the Mumbler also kind of resembles a child. Because of its small stature, I don't know, it's dumb. I mean, I get it, but it's dumb. Because this is a school, it makes sense that this type of enemy is here. We'll find out later why the enemies are where they are, or why they are enemies at all. But for now, just know that these aren't really children, so it's okay to shoot them in the face and hit them really hard with a steel pipe. We find the first real puzzle of the game. There are multiple clues, but we don't know what to do with them yet. There's also a spooky painting. I'm sure it's nothing. We encounter more enemies. Again, avoiding them is usually the best option, but sometimes it's better to kill them for good, because you'll be backtracking quite a lot, and you don't want to constantly keep running into them. Harry also encounters this shadowy thing. It doesn't attack us, it looks more like it's trying to run away from us. It even makes squeaky noises when it falls. Maybe it's supposed to represent the innocent side of children. Also, if you played Fear and Hunger 2 or watched my video about it, then you know where the inspiration came from. Last time I played this game was more than a decade ago. Wanna hear something weird and funny? Maybe some of you will relate to this, but when I finally played this game again, after all those years, it made me feel something. It made me feel good. Playing this horrible, dark, and twisted game made my hollow husk actually feel something akin to happiness. I was genuinely happy while playing this. The mood and vibes of this game really resonate with me. If you actually agree with me, then you're a super weird person and I love you. Also, it's just a great game, and playing great games should always make you happy. While investigating, Harry goes into this bathroom, and... That's it. There's nothing to do here. No items to pick up, no enemies to kill. If you try opening the stalls, you just can't. This place only exists to fill you up with dread. But you don't know that the first time you play. But if you go to the woman's bathroom, you die. This game tries to teach you that going to the woman's bathroom as a man is punishable by death. Here I found that if you turn off your light and sneak up on an enemy, you can deal more damage. Usually it takes like 8 swings to take one of these suckers down. When I did it like this, it took 4 swings, so double damage. So hey, there's more strategy to the flashlight than I thought. You can actually sneak up on enemies and use stealth, I guess. This part was actually genius. The game fakes you out by showing you a room filled with innocent, non-hostile creatures. Then you go to the next room, which looks identical. You hear your radio and you think, oh, it's probably just one of those adorable dark creatures. Nothing to worry about. Then bam, it's a normal hostile pipsqueak. We find a hand holding some kind of round object. It's holding it tight, so I guess there's nothing we can do about it. Harry goes into a creepy locker room and... Oh, whew, it was just a kitty cat. Thank goodness I was here. I was able to save it. Fuck. No running or playing? Fuck you, I do what I want. I'm an adult. There's some water here and you say there's no reason to take it, but when you see a random chemical, you do take it? It does seem random, but we actually need this chemical. We go back to the room with the hand statue and use it. The hand melts away, and we can acquire what it was holding, a gold medallion. Inspecting it reveals a picture of a clock tower. Where the heck can we find a clock tower? Oh, there's one right here, right in the school garden. We put the medallion in its place, but there's another hole for a silver medallion. After we use the golden medallion, the clock stopped at 12 o'clock. If we go back and inspect the notes, we can see that 12 o'clock relates to a place with songs and sound. So we go to the music room, and hey, there's a piano here. At first it was locked, but after we put the medallion, it became unlocked. We can play it now. And of course it's covered in blood. The problem is, we don't know what to play, but at least Harry actually knows how to use it, unlike Chris, that uncultured swine. All he knows is how to lead his team to their death, and how to punch boulders. We do have a clue hanging on the board. It's a poem, and it literally tells us that the reward is something silver, so we know we're on the right track. Now we just have to figure this out. There are several notes we can play. Some of them make regular piano sounds, but some of them make no sound. Kind of. Because it says without a voice, we can infer that the only notes we need to play are the quote-unquote silent notes. After figuring out which notes are silent, we go back to the riddle. Now, I kinda figured it out by accident, but I'll try to explain how this works. First, there's the greedy pelican.
I have spotted a pelican. So majestic. So majestic. That is a big bird.
He's the first to fly, eager for the reward. Little bastard, we know that a pelican is white. And if you don't know that, well then you're a big fucking dummy. No, I'm kidding. And you can always just Google it. Because he's white, and he was so eager, we can assume that he didn't fly so far. Which means, he represents the first white note. Remember, we are only touching the bloody notes that are silent, not the other bloody notes. Second, we have the dove, which is also white. Sometimes. He flew way beyond the pelican. as far as he could, which means he represents the last silent white note. Next we have the Raven, our first blackbird. He wanted to impress everyone, so he flew higher than even the dove, which means we need to press the last black note. Next is the Swan, another white bird. This one just wanted a peaceful spot, next to another bird. The only silent white note left is next to the dove. Lastly, we have the Crow. No. Which is basically a raven, just smaller. It says that it came quickly to a stop, which means it has to be the first black note. I actually took a piece of paper and a pencil to figure this puzzle out. Do you know how many years it's been since I did that for a puzzle? Or better yet, do you know how many years it's been since I've even seen a pencil? I barely remembered how to write. After playing the final note, we complete the puzzle, and something falls down to the ground nearby. We go pick it up, and it's the silver medallion we need. I really like this puzzle. Solid puzzle. Makes your brain think. Even though it took me longer to figure out than I would like to admit. We go back to the clock tower while avoiding enemies, and discover that the reception area, which was once a safe place, is now also filled with enemies. So we use stealth to whack them on the side of the head, eh?
Which is a, touchy thing to do in today's society. Sure. And you think, I got that little bastard.
I like that you started this with something physical, because all of us can do this. Everyone watching this today that's struggling with whatever they're struggling with can just work on that.
Yeah, just let them have it. They will listen. They'll listen. They'll take the damn pain.
Harry goes back to the clock tower and puts the silver medallion in its place. It has now stopped at 5 o'clock. Going back to the reception, we find the 5 o'clock note. It talks about darkness and heat, and it could have been explained better, but it's a hint that we need to go to where the boiler was. We manage to turn it on, it starts to work, but nothing happens. At least nothing we can see right away. But if we go back to the clock tower, we discover that it actually opened these tiny doors. Inside, there's barely room to maneuver. The only thing we see is a ladder. We go down, and we start to hear it again. The siren is back. By this point, you can probably tell that when you hear the siren, it's bad news. This place looks decrepit and rusty, in an unusual way. The siren is getting louder, and there's a sign that says, keep out. So of course I'm gonna keep going. It's not like I have a choice. Even if we try to go back, we can't. The door mysteriously won't open. Something is trying to force us to progress. Going the only way he can, Harry exits the door. And then, for the first time in the series, it happens.
Where am I? Have I been here before? I don't remember this being here before.
Harry finds himself back at the school, only this time something is different. There's suddenly some kind of giant symbol on the floor, and it sounds like a lion is playing a piano? Maybe he's stuck on the piano puzzle, and he's mad. Welcome to the other world. This is the first time this happens in the franchise. Well, not counting the beginning of the game. If you don't know what that is, the other world is basically a more dark and rusted version of whatever location you were in. So if you thought that being stuck in a creepy, foggy town with weird monsters wasn't bad enough, well now you can get a more nightmarish version of that. The transition to that version is usually accompanied by sirens, and it usually features enemies that are more dangerous. So just some normal stuff. I feel like I'm going to a different version of my house every time I go to the toilet. Our map still works, except all of the markers disappeared. We need to start fresh again. Harry enters what appears to be a kid's room, where he finds a rubber ball. We already know that picking up random shit will probably be useful down the line. We also start encountering the giant bugs, which are an F-tier enemy in any game they appear in. Nobody likes this type of enemy. Venturing deeper, we find a yellow card, with a picture of a key on one side and 3 squares on the other. Where have I seen that before? 3 squares. Sneaking past a few enemies, we keep going until we make it to this version of the reception, and we find that hellish door we saw in that painting. It's like we're inside of that painting, or more like the painting came to life. Inspecting this piece of art shows us that we can slide something inside. It's obvious that we need to use the yellow card here, but we only have one of those for now. There are 3 squares and only 1 card, so we have to keep exploring. Or so you'd think. Sliding this 1 card is enough, and the door opens. Now we get access to the second half of the school, including the bathroom, where there's a sink filled with blood. Is this a foreshadowing to PT? Konami, you bastards, I still haven't forgiven you for this. The Silent Hill 2 remake better be good. It's your only path of redemption. That and putting all of the Silent Hill games on Steam. Only then I will forgive you. Only then here I realize something terrible. You know that door we just went through? The door with the hanging bodies next to it? Yeah, it disappeared. We're trapped here. But if you go in and out of the bathroom, it reappears. And the fence that was here moved a few feet away. This is only the beginning of our psychological torture. This is an early example of how the game is fucking with you, psychologically. It gets much worse. Just a few seconds later, Harry gets a sad reminder of why he's here.
Cheryl!
She hangs up, just as quickly as she called. We get no hint of where she is or how she is. Only her voice, and the hope that she is still alive inside of this nightmare. With no other choice, Harry moves on, passing through hordes of grey children, and eventually, he gets to another locker room. Now I'm going to spend the next minute explaining to you why this jumpscare is brilliant. Remember the last time we've been here? The game was toying with us, building our anxiety and anticipation, only to laugh at us when it was revealed that it was just a cat stuck in a locker, and there was no actual threat, no reason for us to panic. This time, we're put in the exact same situation, same place, same noises, and even the same locker, which doesn't even have a cat inside. There's nothing inside. So again, nothing to be afraid of. You'd think that, okay, if the game pranked me once, surely this time it will actually throw a jump scare at me, but no, there's nothing. You got pranked again. You start to go back, then boom, double pranked. Just when you thought to yourself, ooh, no jump scare again, you get the actual jump scare. The game knows exactly what you're thinking, and when you're thinking it. Subversion of expectations. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Other than giving us the spooks, this body also gave us a key. We use the key and enter inside, where we find much needed healing items, and more beautiful decorations. We also find a door, which leads us to a very important book. It's an old fairy tale about a hunter who fought against a lizard. The hunter was taunting the lizard, waiting for it to open its mouth. And when it finally did, he started shooting, killing it. This story foreshadows something that will happen very soon. Remember this story. The only way we can go now is the top floor, where we see this symbol again. And again. It's probably not important. In one of the holes on the floor, we see a key, but we can't reach it. There's a valve here, which Harry will only use after you inspect the hole with the key. We use it to make the water go to the key, but there's a problem. The other hole is preventing the water from going forward. But remember what I said about picking up random shit? Yes, this hole is the perfect size for my ball. Well, maybe. I haven't tried it. But it's also the perfect size for this ball, which we use to block the hole, which then lets the water reach the key. Now it's even more out of reach, but at least it's not stuck. It fell down somewhere, so all we have to do is find it. After some searching around, we find it in the garden. It's for a classroom. Inspecting it, we see a tag with 2NW. If we check the map, the only locked class we have is this one, assuming you checked all of the doors. North, west, and the second floor. Get it? N, north, W, west, second floor, 2. You get it. We get to it, which of course leads us to more enemies. But it also leads us to the lowest floor. On the way, we unlock all of the shortcuts that we can find. And we go down to the unknown. It's dark and quiet, more than usual. We stack up and get ready for whatever comes next. We go to where the boiler is supposed to be, but instead we are met with, I forgot what it's called. Spinning gates. Rotating, spinning metal sticks. It's blocking our path, but after some trial and error, I figured out how it works. There are 2 valves here, one on the left, the other on the right. The left one turns the left stick twice, and the right stick once. The right valve does the opposite. It turns the right stick twice, and the left stick once. You need to position both gates in a way that they won't block you anymore. After a few minutes, I'm sure you'll be able to do it. I believe in you. Did I say that already?
Enough with the jokes. Get on with it.
Okay. We can finally proceed and... Whoa, this was an elevator all along. We'll have more elevator shenanigans later. This elevator just teleports us... here. A giant area, with a circle in the middle, with a burning corpse inside. We have been seeing a lot of hanging corpses lately. This is Silent Hill, so they must be some kind of symbolism. We'll get to that towards the end. Right now, we have bigger fish to fry. Or bigger lizards to fry. Or whatever this is. Welcome to the first boss fight of the game. Remember that fairy tale from earlier? About the hunter and the lizard? Well, now we are physically retelling that story. Harry is trapped in this place, with this giant beast. It's invincible. No matter how much we shoot it, it receives no damage. But shooting it enough times makes it open its mouth. The good news is that according to the story, that's where it will take damage, inside of its mouth. The bad news is that if you don't kill it fast enough, it will bite you and start chewing, killing you instantly. Then I realized something horrible. Wait a fucking minute. Where's my goddamn shotgun? Why am I fighting this thing with a tiny pistol? I've been picking up all of this shotgun ammo, and I clearly remember from when I played it back in the day that by this point I had a shotgun. So I go back, and what do you know? It was in the boys' bathroom all along. For some reason, it was the only place I haven't been to, and I always explore everything in these games. So that's weird. I need to punish myself. What's even worse, it's not the last time that I'll miss a good weapon. Of course it was in the boys' bathroom. It's a manly gun. Girls don't use shotguns. they use, well, I don't know. I need to ask them. There's a message here about a Leonard Rhine. I'm pretty sure he's supposed to be that lizard monster, but I could be wrong. Reading this message does unlock a special book that you can read that has some interesting explanations about the story. And if you don't read this message in the bathroom, you cannot read this book. But again, we'll get to that later. I'm not sure you can even win with just the pistol. You probably can, but it will take a while. But with the shotgun, well, that's a different story.
What was that? Who in the hell was that?
At this point, I would stop asking that. At this point, it's becoming abundantly clear that some kind of supernatural force is responsible for all of this madness. These aren't random demons from hell or something like that. Something is causing them to appear, and it's affecting reality itself. Maybe it has something to do with that girl we just saw, who is the same girl we saw in the opening cutscene, the one that just stood there in the middle of the road. Look, if you've played this game, you know who she is, but I'm trying to create some mystery here. Come on. It's quiet now, the sirens have stopped, and it seems like it's almost peaceful. There are no monsters around. They all disappeared. It's like we purified this place. Which means we can finally leave this shitty school behind us. This is a one-to-one recreation of when I finally finished high school, in real life. Phew, see ya, suckers! After all of that, we didn't find Cheryl, which was the whole point we came here. However, we did get some sort of clue. That girl we saw left us a key. Inspecting it, we see a name and an address. K. Gordon. Somewhere in Old Silent Hill. Old Silent Hill is where we were before we got to the school. We also get another point of interest. Harry suddenly hears a ringing church bell, which means that there's a church nearby, and someone is there. Hopefully, it's Cheryl, but even if it's not, it might at least be a normal human. Running across the empty streets, we come across an alley with a single dog. The alley leads us to someone's backyard, where we use the key we found at the school. Inside, we find some bullets, a save point, and Harry is again refusing to check the refrigerator. Why? Why are you doing this? Are you afraid of refrigerators? There will actually be a, let's say, a traumatic incident with a refrigerator later on. We exit the house and make our way to the church. After going through another alleyway and exploring a bit, Harry finally reaches the church and we get another taste of this beautifully awkward dialogue. I knew it! Jesus was behind everything all along. Wait, who is this?
Were you ringing that bell?
I've been expecting you. It was foretold by gyromancy.
What are you talking about?
I knew you'd come. You want the girl, right?
The girl? You're talking about Cheryl.
I see everything.
You know something. Tell me.
Stay back. Nothing is to be gained from floundering about at random. You must follow the path. The path of the hermit concealed by flowers.
What? What are you talking about?
Here, the flowers, a cage of peace. It can break through the walls of darkness and counteract the wrath of the underworld. These will help you. Make haste to the hospital before it's too late.
Wait! Don't go yet!
Well, that was weird. Of course the dialogue is weird and vague. She doesn't answer our questions, and she's talking about geometry and some flowers? Old people, am I right? She does know about Cheryl, and even though she was vague about it, she tells us to go to some hospital, where we will presumably find Cheryl. She leaves us this flowerous triangle thing. Examining it only tells us that it's a pyramid-shaped object. Its purpose is unknown. Maybe it's a pyramid head foreshadowing? No, it's not. Probably. She also left a key to the bridge, which we will need to cross to get to the hospital. We can explore the church, but there's nothing really here besides a save point and a healing item. We also can't go after the boomer lady because she locked the door behind her. The only thing we can do is look for that bridge, which isn't a problem because it's close by. Unsurprisingly, the bridge is raised and we can't get through. We have to go to this place, use the key and this thing, and power the bridge. Inside, we can save our progress and pick up a new map. With the bridge open, we make our way to an entirely new area. But of course, it's going to be just as horrible as the area before, if not worse. You knew that. You knew this would happen. Stop acting surprised. Why is this game even called Silent Hill? At least half of the time it's not silent, with all the noise enemies are making, the sirens, the radio, and the bullets you shoot at these disgustingly beautiful abominations. And it's not even a hill. It should have been called Noisy Bizarre Town. Wait, isn't that one of the openings from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure? This area is basically the same, but now we also have to deal with this gorilla monster thing. It's not particularly hard to deal with them, but for some reason I find them very unsettling, so I usually just run away from them. They can jump at you and give you bloody kisses on your chest. They hop around all over the place and make these weird noises. It's like they're trying to bark. On the way to the hospital, I come across an antique shop. The door is locked, so there's nothing we can do for now. Side note, in Silent Hill games, if it says that a door is locked, then there's always a key or an item that can open it. If it says jammed or the lock is broken, then it's usually a dead end. Eventually, Harry arrives at the hospital. A couple of dogs jump at him, he runs inside, and... It's quiet. There's no siren, no enemies, only the sound of your footsteps. And, you know, a gunshot. We go inside, and... I've shown you part of it already. But just enjoy what you're about to see. This is where all the budget went.
Hold it! Stop! Don't shoot! Wait! I'm not here to fight. My name is Harry Mason. I'm in town on vacation.
Thank God, another human being.
Do you work here?
I'm Dr. Michael Kaufmann. I work at this hospital.
So maybe you can tell me what's going on.
I really can't say. I was taking a nap in the staff room. When I woke up, it was like this. Everyone seems to have disappeared. And it's snowing out, this time of year. Something's gone seriously wrong. Did you see those monsters? Have you ever seen such aberrations? Ever even heard of such things? You and I both know creatures like that don't exist.
Yeah. Have you seen a little girl anywhere? I'm looking for my daughter. She's only 7, short, black hair.
She's missing. I'm sorry. But with all those monsters around, I highly doubt that she's... Sorry, I didn't mean to alarm you. Your wife, she's here with you?
She died 4 years ago. Now it's just me and my daughter.
I see. I'm sorry. Well, I'd better be going. I can't just sit around here doing nothing.
So long. Good luck out there.
What? Look, I know that people defend the bad acting and awkward dialogue by saying that it's part of the charm and that it's supposed to be weird and unusual. It fits with the tone of the game, and yeah, I'm one of those people. Earlier in the video, I also said that. But there's a limit to my generosity. There's a very thin line between bad acting that enhances a peculiar experience and just bad acting. This cutscene definitely crossed that line. I don't hate it, I love it for the same reason we all love The Room.
Have you seen a little girl, just turned 7 last month? Short, black hair. My daughter.
I cannot tell you, it's confidential.
Oh, come on, why not?
No, I can't. Anyway, how is your
sex life?
I can make a whole video just about this cutscene alone, but you get the picture. It's goofy as hell. So what the hell just happened? Well, this guy killed one of the flying creatures, so I like him, but then he tries to shoot us, so I don't like him. But he apologizes, and overall looks like a nice, normal guy. So I like him. Though he looks more like a mafia hitman than a doctor. We get a weird subversion, where we're the ones being asked about the situation, and about what the hell is going on. Usually it's the other way around. The protagonist is the one to ask those questions. He also didn't help us find Cheryl. All we know about him is that his name is Michael Kaufmann, and he's a doctor at this hospital. We did learn, however, that Harry lost his wife 4 years ago. I hope this doesn't become a trend in the sequel, wink wink, and now he might lose his daughter too. Poor fella. Kaufmann leaves. We start to explore a bit and find a map of the hospital. Remember, never, ever proceed without a map. We keep exploring and we find that it's super quiet. There are no enemies, and most of the doors are jammed, except for a few, like this one, which leads us to a map of the basement. We also take a plastic bottle with us, you know, in case we'll have to pee and the bathroom will be too far away. No matter where we are or what situation we're in, we don't want to pee on public property. Harry is a good boy. We find some red liquid splattered on the ground. Someone wanted to get rid of it. We also find a key to the basement, so that's where we go. Down the stairs, and... the radio is going crazy again, which means there are enemies nearby. we don't immediately see them, but they are close. This is how you build tension and raise my anxiety levels so high that I need to go to the bathroom. Okay, it wasn't because of the game, I just needed to go. We find a generator and turn it on, which causes the elevator to start working. We've already been on the first floor, so let's try the second. Unfortunately, there's only one door here, and it's full of jam. So, on to the third floor. This floor also has one door. Well, technically it's two doors, and it's also jammed. Shit. Well, I'm out of ideas. There's nowhere else to go. What? What? This was not here before. So yeah, floor number 4 just appeared out of nowhere. This is a pretty popular moment from the game. Even if you haven't played it, you might have stumbled across this moment. For people in the West, it's already spooky. Numbers aren't supposed to just appear out of nowhere, but for people in Japan, it's even more creepy. Japanese people see this number as a bad omen, specifically as death. Number 4, at least sometimes, is pronounced as she, which is equivalent to how you pronounce the word death in Japanese. The people who created the Japanese language were real pranksters. They spooked the entire nation for all eternity because of this bullshit. Even though it's a sign of bad luck, not having any other choice, we press the button. As we exit the elevator, we suddenly get a vision of that girl going into the antique shop we passed by, which means that it's our next destination. That's not a problem, I'll just go back and... Oh. Yeah, of course this wouldn't be easy. We're stuck here, even the next door is suddenly locked behind us. And we don't have a map for this place. What's even more creepy is that it seems we were teleported to the other world again, judging by all the rust and dirt. But there weren't any sirens or any kind of transition. It just happened. We can even see the number 4 on the wall, as if it's hunting us. Going down the stairs and through a door, the music gets louder and louder, and we meet a new enemy. Say hello to the nurses. This is before they got all sexy in the second game, which pretty much solidified their design in the franchise. In this version, it seems like they aren't attacking you just because they're an enemy. It's like something is controlling them. There's some kind of red growth attached to their backs, but it doesn't matter if they do it intentionally or not. We still kill them in cold blood. After dispatching some of the staff, we find a blue square with a turtle. What? We find bottles with some kind of drug, so we leave them alone. So Harry doesn't pick this up, but when he sees a random blood pack, woo-wee, he picks it up without a second thought. He's excited for it. Weirdo. We find another square. This time it's a cat. Here we find another square plate, but this one is stuck on the wall, and it will be a while before we get it out. We also find an old TV. Remember when your parents had this kind of TV? Boy, those were the days. If you don't remember that, that means you're either too young or you have memory problems because you're too old. Like me. There's also a save point, which, curiously, is named Room 302. Why is that interesting? Well, it's not interesting right now, in this game, but it will be when we get to Silent Hill 4. Let's just say that it's important for that game. It's a number of a very special room. Next we find a lighter and some tentacles coming out of the wall. I don't remember this part. I don't want to get close to that. It's blocking our path to the next square. Hitting it doesn't work. Shooting it doesn't work. Look at him. He doesn't even know where to aim. If you'll notice, it's really fixated on this pool of blood. It really likes blood. So what we need to do is throw the blood pack we have to create a new, fresh and more juicy pool of blood. Now that it's distracted, we can go ahead and grab the next square. Bon appetit! We casually find a list of the Grim Reaper's victims. He just hangs it on the wall, I guess. Is that Albert Wesker?
Complete.
global saturation.
No, wait, no it's not. Going down the stairs, we discover that doctors have also been possessed. Guess that degree didn't amount to much. We managed to get to this version of the generator. It's working and there's no reason to turn it off. But next to it is a weapon of mass destruction. A weapon to surpass Metal Gear. I remember using it a lot on my last playthrough. And it's not gonna change this time. Highly damaging but hard to use? Well, at least half of that is true. This weapon is a beast, to say the least. It can take down enemies with just a few swings. The only downside is that you can't move while using it. But it doesn't matter, because the enemies will come to you, like flies to a slaughterhouse. Going back to the elevator, we can see that the scary number disappeared, which makes it even scarier. It's like it was never there. After more carnage, we finally find the last square. We find a note with some kind of poem. This will probably be important later. That last part is a bit spooky. When I say important later, I mean right now. There's a door with square-shaped holes. That note will help us figure out where to put the squares that we found. There are 8 parts to this poem. We have 4 squares. And there's 4 squares already at the door. We're gonna go clockwise. Clouds are white, so we start from here. But here, we don't look at the sun. We need to focus on the sky, which is blue. Tangerines are orange. Fluffy 4-leaf clover, that's green. I feel like I'm a teacher who's explaining this puzzle to my students. How cool would it be if Silent Hill was an actual subject at school? You could get a Silent Hill PhD. Violets are purple. Dandelions are yellow. Sleeping time is black, because when you sleep you close your eyes and all you see is darkness. And last but not least, the spooky liquid, which is red. We put them in the correct order and it worked. Cool puzzle, very visual, makes you use your imagination. Moving forward, we find another key and some disinfecting alcohol. We go back to the basement and use the key to open this door. Inside, there's a cabinet with skid marks on the floor. Whenever you see skid marks in video games, you know that something can be pushed. Come on, you know what video games are. We open the hidden passage and we see a bunch of vines blocking the way. So we put those babies to sleep. Using the disinfecting alcohol and the lighter, we burn Mother Nature's children, and a new path has opened before us, which leads us even further down, below the basement. This place is even creepier and more isolated than before. We find a photo of that girl we keep seeing in our visions. Her name is Alessa. Next to the photo lies an examination key. Continuing our murderous rampage, we come across a tape. Remember that old TV we saw earlier? We can put the tape inside of it, but for now it's not going to show us a clear picture. All it will do is break the VCR. We still have this key. Let's see where it leads us. Whoa! Hey! Hello! I wasn't ready for this.
Finally, someone else who's okay.
Who are you?
My name's Lisa Garland. What's yours?
Harry Mason.
Harry, tell me what's happening here. Where is everybody? I must have gotten knocked out. When I came to, everyone was gone. It's awful.
So you don't know anything either. Great.
So this Lisa chick is like Michael. She also doesn't know everything. She was asleep, she wakes up, then boom. All of her friends became mutated and homicidal, which is exactly what happens every time I go to sleep. Harry asks about the weird place where the closet used to be. The closet that led us to where we found a picture of Alessa next to a bed. Predictably, she says that she doesn't know anything about it, that she was ordered to pinky swear that she would never go to that place. But before Harry can elaborate on the situation, the siren comes back and gives him a mean headache.
Damn! My head.
What's wrong? Harry? Harry, let me help you. Harry?
He wakes up in the normal reality, when suddenly...
You were too late.
The old woman shows up.
Yes, Dahlia Gillespie.
Tell me everything you know. What's going on?
Darkness.
Oh yeah, that's helpful. Very informative. She's being all cryptic and mysterious and shit, but she does tell us that we need to go to another church. For some reason. Then why did you tell me to come here, huh? I could have gone there from the start. You senile bitch. She also gave us a key and tells us about the giant symbol we saw a while back. She calls it the Mark of Samael. Apparently it's evil and we should stop it from being complete. But again, she doesn't elaborate. I think she's just hoping that we will understand what she means, even though we have no fucking clue. This is just another typical interaction between a male and a female. And with that, our hospital journey comes to an end. With nothing more to do here, Harry exits Alchemy Hospital and immediately gets bitch slapped by a pink dog. I just noticed something cool. Harry will be holding whatever weapon you had equipped beforehand. Attention to detail. We're back in town, baby. Looking at our map, I don't see any church. But remember that antique shop? We go there and we use the key that Dahlia gave us to unlock the door. Inside, there's another closet we can push. And as we do it, Sybil shows up. Remember her?
Harry!
Sybil?
I'm glad you're okay. I shouldn't have left you. Things are worse than I thought. It's nuts.
What are you doing here? I thought you left town.
I saw you go in here, so I followed you. I couldn't get out. All the roads out of town are blocked. Cars have completely stopped running. The phones and radios are still out too.
What about my daughter? Did you see her?
I did see a girl.
Was it Cheryl?
I only caught a glimpse of her through the fog. I went after her, but she vanished. I don't know about your daughter, but...
And you just let her go? Where was it?
Wow. That's the first time I feel some kind of emotion from Harry.
And you just let her go?
Sybil says she saw her on
Bachman Road.
So now we have a new destination. Before leaving, we tell her about Dahlia and her darkness speech, but Sybil just thinks she's high on drugs. Apparently, there's been a drug trafficking ring for quite a while, but the police still don't know who's behind it.
What could drug trafficking have to do with all this?
Yeah, probably nothing. Instead of going outside to look for Cheryl
on Bachman Road,
Harry decides it's better to go inside of this random hole. Why? Why are you like this? There's nothing here besides a long, empty hallway. Even though this seems random, we did have a vision of Alessa going in here, so maybe we'll find something important. On the other side, we find some kind of altar. Maybe this is what Dahlia was talking about. Maybe this is that other church. There's also a picture of whatever this is. There's nothing useful here besides this X, and I don't even know how useful it is. The altar was so angry I took that X, it erupts with fire. Sybil hears that something's going on there, but when she goes to check, Harry is gone. Just disappeared without a trace. Look at that concerned face. Harry wakes up in the hospital, with Lisa sitting next to him. Remember how he suddenly disappeared the last time we saw her, but she stayed here? Now for some reason, he teleported back to her. According to her, Harry was just having a bad dream, implying he never left, that he was always here, just sleeping. We ask her about Dahlia, and she's like, yeah, that bitch is insane, a total wacko. We actually have an interesting conversation. This is the most informative conversation yet. She tells us about how Dahlia had a child, but it died in a fire. She also talks about the town itself. Silent Hill is actually a vacation town, but it wasn't always like that.
Everybody followed some kind of queer religion. Queer religion. Queer religion.
So, everyone was gay? Apparently, there was some kind of cult here. A very powerful and influential cult. But over the years, new people kept moving into town, and the cult's influence started to die down. But maybe there are some remnants of it left. As she finishes her story, we are teleported, yet again. This is the first time the game presents us with the possibility that everything is just in Harry's fragile mind. He even admits it to himself. Maybe he is actually in the hospital and Lisa is taking care of him. But no, I'm gonna spoil it right now. Everything is real. There is an ending where Harry died in a car crash at the beginning of the game, and everything that's happened was just in his head, which is the worst ending you can get, and it's considered non-canon. No, there is an explanation to what's going on in this town, but you'll have to wait until we get to it, or just skip ahead in the video to get to the explanation, but don't do that. YouTube won't like me if you do that. We're in the other world again. Fuck, I can't say the word world. We're in the other world again, and there's a giant symbol on the floor. Again. Going outside, we find that the whole town has transformed. This isn't isolated to a single location anymore, and these monkey people keep jumping at me. Get off! I don't have time for this monkey business. Everything is blocked off, even more than usual. It's like we're stuck on a tiny, dark, floating island. The only way we can go is this hole in the wall, which leads us to the town center. Inside, everything is also corrupted, filled with metal and pipes. Everything is quiet, until we try to use the stairs. We see that symbol again, which is followed by another grim reminder that Harry's daughter was taken from him. She calls for help, but there is nothing he can do right now, besides moving forward.
Daddy? Daddy? Where are you?
Cheryl!
If you look closely, you will notice that alongside pictures of Cheryl, pictures of Alessa keep popping up as well. For now, we don't know what it means, but it's obvious this Alessa chick is somehow connected to whatever is going on. If all of that wasn't bad enough, the floor decides to collapse beneath our feet, and we fall into the abyss. And now we have to fight a giant bug creature. This is the second boss fight of the game, and honestly, the bosses are kind of meh. Most bosses in Silent Hill aren't that great, in all of the Silent Hill games. The best ones are the ones that have something interesting about them, like the first boss we defeated. It had a gimmick and a poem written about it, or other bosses in the sequels that have a cool looking design to them. But here, it's just a bug, a big centipede thing that you shoot until it dies. And yeah, you have to shoot it, you can't hit it with melee weapons. For some reason, after enough damage, it falls down and crawls into a fetal position. You can't do any damage to it at this point. You have to wait until it gets up and triggers this cutscene, where it runs away from you because you are a dominant alpha male. We follow it outside and are immediately attacked by a new variant of the flying creatures, which seems to be even stronger and more annoying. The entire town is becoming more and more depraved, with metal fence and collapsed buildings surrounding us. Even the enemies are becoming more ferocious, or at least it feels that way. Because it's so dark and there are dead ends everywhere, you can easily get cornered. There's no way for you to know if you're going to get yourself trapped until you actually go there. Look at this, it's like I'm one of the dogs. I really like this part from a conceptual and atmospheric standpoint, but purely in terms of gameplay, it can be a bit rough. It basically boils down to a running simulator in the dark, where you're literally just running until you finally find where you're supposed to go. This game should have been called Alone in the Dark. I feel like the entire town's population was after me. With everything blocked, the only place we can go is back to the hospital, where we meet Lisa again. She's happy to see us. We tell her that all of the roads are blocked and ask her how to get to the lake. She tells us that near the school there's an underground tunnel which can take us there. She doesn't want us to leave because she's scared to be alone. You know, because of the spooky monsters. Harry asks her to come with him, which almost gives us an escort mission, which is one of the worst things in video games if done poorly. Kind of like in Silent Hill 4. Thankfully, she rejects the idea. For some reason, she feels like she should stay at the hospital, like she's not allowed to leave. Come on, Harry, you can't ask her to leave. She's on the clock. So what if there are monsters everywhere? She can't just abandon her post. She takes her job very seriously. And with that, we leave her behind. If we go back, she won't be there anymore. It's like she wasn't even real. Going outside, we notice that the streets have shifted again. Literally everything is blocked, and the only way we can go is up these stairs. It's like the town is pointing us in a specific direction. In this case, it's the direction to another giant cockroach, which immediately spits on us. I think it's supposed to be the previous boss, but now he transformed, because it did run away. We didn't kill it. This cockroach can actually be hit with a melee weapon, but that's not advisable. Like with the previous boss, all we have to do is point and shoot, though this time it's much more aggressive and attacks often. A lot of the bosses can be beaten just by trading damage. If you have a lot of healing items, which you should have if you explore a lot, you can just out-heal any damage they deal to you until you win. Or, you know, you can just be strategic and not greedy and move away before the boss can attack. After an intense fight, we manage to take down the massive bug creature, which starts to fall down and disappears along with the siren and the darkness. Everything suddenly goes back to normal. Well, as normal as it's ever gonna get in Silent Hill. According to Lisa, the tunnel we're looking for is near the school, so we head back to Old Silent Hill. The game actually gives us a hint. It teleports us straight to the school. We didn't need to walk across the whole city just to get here. Thanks, game. You foggy bastard. We find the entrance, and of course it's locked. But this time, there's a visible lock, and it's weak. Since we're at the school, let's act like delinquents and break it. I am so cool. We use the ladder to go underground, and now welcome to the sewer level, where nothing bad will happen and everything will be lovely. Because sewer levels are always good. Oh god! Not only are these creatures disgusting, they don't activate the radio, and we have no map for this place. Two things we've been heavily relying on. Now we're even more defenseless, but we still take them down. Heading deeper, we find a map and a save point. And even more importantly, a key, which we use on the... oh fuck off! Which we use on this door and go even deeper. And finally, we get out of the sewers. Actually no, there's more sewers. Eventually we come across a pool of blood, because of course there's blood everywhere. Inside, we find a sewer exit key. And then...
You picked the wrong house, fool! Oh.
We use the key and the exit, pull some pranks on the enemies that we left behind, and finally get out of here. A new area presents itself, the resort area of Silent Hill, which is filled with monsters, because of course it is. We take refuge in a nearby bar, or diner, or whatever this is, where we find Kaufmann struggling with his giant monkey. We save him by shooting the monkey one time. One time! If only it was that easy during the gameplay.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I guess so.
He doesn't even thank us, but he asks if we found a way out of town. We tell him that we didn't, and he says that the military will come and rescue us. Yeah, that's some wishful thinking. Did he just assume they would come, without even at least getting some kind of distress signal? He talks about flapping our gums, and Harry asks an important question. He asks about Alessa. Kaufmann says he doesn't know her and just leaves. This whole interaction might seem random and pointless, but it's actually the beginning of a very important side quest. During his monkey scuffle, he dropped a key with the number 3 and a receipt with some kind of code. You have to complete the side quest if you want a good ending. After exploring a bit, we find a door with a padlock. We input the code that was on the receipt, and look at that, it works. Too bad I immediately get jumped by a monkey. Heading inside, we find a locked safe. I try to use Kaufmann's key, but it doesn't work. The safe key is actually in the drawer nearby, like 1 meter away, which isn't the most secure thing you can do. The whole point of a safe is that it will be hard to open it. Anyway, we open the safe, and inside we find some good old drugs. Remember how Sybil mentioned something about drug trafficking? Yeah, a lot of people were involved in it, and we can assume that Kaufmann is also involved somehow, because the password we used to get inside this place came from him. Maybe he's not just a random guy, like he appears to be. We also find a grocery list with a password. Heading back outside, I eventually make my way to some kind of motel, where I find room number 3. Remember the key we got from Kaufmann? What's behind door number 3? Let's find out! Oh, it's just a normal place. I expected to find something more interesting than, oh, what's this? We find a key, but we can't reach it. This is the second time this happened. But, if we go around the motel, we can find a door with a key code. Inputting the password we saw on the grocery list earlier will open this door. And now, we are the proud owners of this magnet. Hey! He said don't look at it. Stop! Yeah, I know you're watching. We find more information about the drug trafficking. And yeah, it affected a lot of people. Maybe we're on drugs right now. Maybe all of this is just a psychedelic
trip. Yeah.
From here, we use a shortcut to get back to door number 3, where we use the magnet to get the key. We then go back inside, go into this room, and use the key on the motorcycle. Inside, we find some kind of glass vial. It looks suspicious, and it becomes apparent that it has some importance when Kaufmann shows up and snatches it away. It's like he knew we had it.
That's none of your business. Unless you want to die, keep your mind on business. Got it?
Spoken like a true alpha male podcaster. Always focus on business, kids. Something tells me that Kaufmann really isn't as innocent as I thought. I can't quite put my finger on it. So everything I just did was optional. You don't have to do this, but you should if you want to get one of the good endings. All of it will be clear towards the end. Every time I play this game, I always missed this side quest and never got the good ending. After all of that bullshit, we keep exploring. Until this happens.
What's this? Oh. Oh.
The town has fully gone insane. Whatever supernatural power is holding this town hostage seems to be going out of control. Usually, Harry is teleported to the nightmarish location. This time, the nightmare comes to us. It's not a different version of reality. This is our reality now. The road we came from disappeared into the abyss. The only way is forward, into the darkness. The only way we can go is inside of this boat, where we find another hanged body. Have you noticed how many similar hanged bodies we found? Right up ahead, we meet with Sybil again, who comments on Harry's disappearance in the antique shop. But then she just says, never mind, like it wasn't actually a big deal. She just brushes it off. Now pay attention. This is probably the closest a Silent Hill game gets to explaining what is actually going on in these games. Anyone who played these games, or even just heard about them, probably knows that everything in the game basically serves as symbolism for something, and it usually comes from someone's mind and mental state. But I don't think it was ever addressed in the games themselves, at least not in detail like this.
It's not me. This whole town. It's being invaded by the other world. By a world of someone's nightmarish delusions come to life. Little by little, the invasion is spreading, trying to swallow up everything in darkness. I guess I can't explain it.
Well, what's making this happen?
I don't know that either. But I do know Cheryl is there.
There?
Under whoever created this darkness. Cheryl is somewhere and she needs my help.
I really like this little interaction. Not only does it actually somewhat explains what's going on, but not fully, so it's still ambiguous, it also portrays Harry as someone who is resourceful with good deduction skills. Even still, it's way too weird for him to fully understand. But that won't stop him from getting the best dad ever trophy, cause he's still going to risk his life for his daughter. I would have just left her there. I would be like, hey, come on, Sybil. Forget about her. We can just make another one, right here. Oh, you only date men who are 6 feet tall, with a 6-figure salary? I knew it. Women are all the same.
Yeah, women love me.
Hey, come on, that's not fair.
Men also love me.
Yeah. Suddenly, right in the middle of this imaginary argument, the old hag shows up and starts babbling again. According to her, a demon is causing all of this. A demon taking the form of a child. And the only way to stop it is by using this orange triangle pyramid thing on one of the big demonic symbols we've been seeing all over town. Supposedly, when the demon finishes creating all of the symbols, everything will be
consumed by darkness.
There are 2 symbols left, one in the lighthouse and the other in the amusement park. Sybil decides to help out and goes to investigate the amusement park. Depending on the ending you'll get, this may be the last time you see her. Sort of. Kind of.
Sybil, thanks.
I decided to use my stealth techniques again to avoid awkward and sticky situations like this. Look at him. He doesn't even know that I'm here. Evading the hellish monsters, we eventually arrive at the lighthouse. The only way forward is up, where we get this beautiful shot of the spiral staircase. It looks like we are escaping from the abyss, only to ascend into another abyss. Alessa is here. Could she be the demon Dahlia was talking about? She did say the demon took the form of a child, and we did just see her standing on this big demonic symbol. She disappeared. There's nothing we can do here. There's nowhere we can go. So we return to the spiral staircase and make our way back to the boat. The game helps us again and teleports us there. The only place left for us to go is where Sybil went. the amusement park. In order to get there, we have to go back to the lovely, beautiful sewers. It seems Sybil also went through here, but she had a slight hiccup. The loneliness and isolation are only getting stronger. Unlike the surface, it's quiet here. Too quiet. Not only that, but this symbol keeps appearing more and more, almost like it's trying to tell us something. Maybe it's trying to give us some kind of warning. The game masterfully creates suspense with just the right sound effects. Usually it's loud and full of enemy screams, but here there's just barely any sound. This game deserves all of the praises it gets when it comes to music. And when it comes to the other stuff as well. We run as fast as we can. All of the sewer monsters are chasing us. The sounds become louder and louder the further we go. Another hanging body appears in front of us. And then... horses? Amusement park horses? Is the sewer part of the amusement park? Did kids go down here to ride on the horses? I hope not. Finally, we're here. For the first time, we hear cheerful music. The flying cars are working, only no one is riding them. Now that's just wasting electricity for no reason. But yeah, this is spooky. I can't delay the inevitable. We have to get to this part now. The first, sad part of the game. That isn't about Cheryl. Hey, Sybil. You're chilling on a wheelchair, huh? I don't know why there's a wheelchair on a horse ride, but yeah, you should rest from time to time. Oh, you're getting up? Your eyes are a little red. Maybe you need some sleep. You're getting awfully close to me. Do you want a hug or something? I mean, yeah, sure. Okay. Whoa. Guys, I don't think she wants a hug. We find Sybil, who is clearly possessed. She's been infected by whatever got to those nurses at the hospital. We're stuck with her on the merry-go-round, which of course starts moving on its own to make this event even creepier. Was she just sitting on a horse in the middle of the fight? She uses her pistol to shoot, something she can also do from afar, which has the potential to one-shot Harry. There's even a second phase, where she throws her gun and just decides to go berserker mode on us. Don't think that just because she's a woman, she's going to be weak. She hits hard. Really hard. She can also hit really hard in the first phase and not even flinch when being hit by a massive hammer, bowing down to a woman. Story of my life. After everything we've been through together, which wasn't much but still, we end up having a fight to the death. Besides Lisa, she was the only person that was actually trying to help Harry. The only one who cared about him, and his daughter. She's not even part of the larger narrative. She was just passing by and trying to be helpful, and now she's paying for it. She doesn't deserve this. Usually, this is a boss fight where you have to kill her. But, if you found a plastic bottle and filled it up with this liquid, you can throw the bottle at her to expel a parasite out of her body, and basically save her life. I did get the bottle, but I forgot to fill it with the red liquid, so I cannot save her, unfortunately. Oh well, the ending where she survives isn't canon anyway. Sybil dies horribly, not only from her wounds, but also from that thing inside of her. And yeah, it's a sad and gruesome moment. You can literally see the spark disappearing from her eye. Harry is obviously shaken by all of this, but don't worry, it's about to get much worse. This is the part where the plot twists begin to emerge, so I'll just let you watch this and later I'll explain what happened. If you don't care about the explanation and the lore and just want to see what happens, you can skip ahead. But you do care. I know you do. I know you. Okay, pay attention. It's time to get serious. This is going to be a bit long, but it's important. Watch this.
I figured you'd show. Hold it right there. I don't know who you are or what you're trying to do, and I don't care. Just one thing. Let Cheryl go. That's all I ask. What? Damn! Huh? What is this? Where's Cheryl? Give me back my daughter.
We meet at last, Alessa.
Alia Gillespie? Where's Cheryl? Where is she?
Alessa. This is the end of your little game. Mama?
Huh? Could she be...
You've been a ghastly little pest, haven't you, Alessa? I was careless, thinking you couldn't escape from our spell. But Mommy didn't know how much you'd grown. That's why I couldn't catch you all by myself. But what a pity, yes? Now you're half indebted to this man for his help.
Hey, what are you talking about?
Alessa, my dear little girl, there is one thing left I need you to do for me.
No! Get away from me!
Bad girl. Everything is ready. Let's go home.
What's going on here?
So, yeah, this entire time we were manipulated by Dahlia. She's not just some random crazy old lady. She's actually the leader of a very crazy cult. At first, Harry thinks that he's actually killing a demon that stole his daughter. He's happy. He thinks he's finally going to vanquish the evil of this place and get his daughter back. He even tries to be intimidating, while at the same time having this stiff look. Okay, it actually is scary. Look at that face. Look at that blank face. But as we just saw, all Harry did was actually feed this evil power. What he thought was an item capable of exorcising demons was actually used to paralyze Alessa. Alessa isn't a demon. She's just a frightened little girl. And yes, Alessa is Dahlia's daughter, and as you might have noticed, she has some kind of telekinetic powers. Because of that, Dahlia wanted to use her own daughter for something we will discover very soon. Trust me, it's not something good. If you've played this game, you know what it is. Dahlia used some kind of spell to trap Alessa before the game started. In order to escape, Alessa used her powers. It worked. She was free. Kind of. But, by using her powers under all of this fear and stress, she inadvertently caused, well, all of this. Every single horrible thing we've encountered in this game came from her mind. From all of the trauma and horrible things that happened in her life. Remember that book from the school? Probably not, so let me remind you. It talks about how negative emotions, like fear or stress, can take physical shape. It doesn't happen to just anyone, but for some reason it's quite common among adolescents, especially girls, which basically explains at least half of this game's plot. Alessa felt fear, stress, and basically every negative emotion imaginable because of her abuse at school and by her mother. She was bullied because kids saw her as that weird child with strange abilities. We've all been there. Maybe. Thanks to her psychic powers, all of those emotions manifested as literal monsters. The monsters that we've been fighting all along. We've basically been fighting her inner demons. Each monster represents something negative for Alessa. Her fear of dogs, her fear of bugs, how she views her abusive classmates, and her fear of pink birds? I don't know about this one. I've looked it up and it actually comes from some book she read. I guess she was really scared while reading it. So technically speaking, she's responsible for all of our suffering. But not really. She didn't mean to. Just because she has psychic powers doesn't mean that she knows how to fully control them. It kind of oozed out of her head and became something physical and horrible. But all of that happened because of Dahlia. Eventually Alessa managed to reject Dahlia. Dahlia couldn't do anything about it herself, so she waited for the right opportunity to present itself. She waited for us. For Harry.
Hey, what are you talking about?
Dahlia couldn't get close to Alessa because of her powers, but Harry could. I guess it's because Alessa doesn't view him as a threat or as someone that she hates. That's why Dahlia gave him the Flowers, which is that pyramid thing. By making Harry get close to her, the Flowers could activate and immobilize Alessa, negating her powers. That's why Alessa pushed him away. She didn't want to hurt him, she just wanted to protect herself. But it was too late. Now that Alessa is defenseless, Dahlia can easily use her own spell to teleport her away and do whatever she wants with her. And Harry is left alone and confused. So after hearing this extensive explanation, there's only one question left.
Yeah, where's our food?
Oh right, here you go. That was a good question, but it's not what I meant. The question is, where's Cheryl? Is she even alive? We'll get our answers very soon, because it's not over yet. The madness has only just begun. We wake up next to Lisa again, and she looks a bit wide-eyed and twitchy. Twitch. Also Harry looks like he's taking the biggest dump. She talks with Harry and tells him about feeling weird after checking out the basement. It was supposed to be her first time down there, and yet she feels like she's already been there before, like something happened there. Harry tries to console her, which causes her to panic and run away. We are all alone, yet again. We can save the game here, and notice how the save file is named Nowhere, which is the place we're in right now. Literally nowhere, but at the same time, somewhere. Because Alessa has lost control, her psychic powers have gone berserk. Reality has started to shift so much, it literally starts to distort space and time. Random places and locations are coming together to form this unique nightmare. Sometimes locations and elevators will lead to completely unrelated areas. You go to a door in the hospital and end up in the antique shop. You go from the hospital to the school. You enter a door on one floor, only to end up on another, completely different floor. There is no logic to it. It's a weird and surreal amalgamation of every notable location in this town. And it's amazing. No other Silent Hill does this. What makes this part of the game even more terrifying is that you don't have a map. In the most bizarre and confusing location, where a map is exactly what you need here, you don't get it. There is no map, because like the name suggests, this place doesn't exist. It's nowhere. You are truly lost here. Shut up, creepy voice. Can't you see I'm busy? From a gameplay perspective, because there is no map, you actually have to remember stuff. You need to know where you've been and where you haven't. Which doors are locked and which aren't. Did I go here? Have I been here before? Maybe I have. Did I buy food for my cat or did I forget? Oh wait, that's just me. So what the hell are we doing here? How do we get out? You know how some games have a boss rush? Where you fight boss after boss after boss? Well, here it's more like a puzzle rush. There are tons of puzzles scattered all over this non-existent place. I'm not gonna go through all of them, because that would take hours and this video is long enough as it is. I can't believe you're still watching this. Good on you. You're awesome. Basically, there's a lot of key items and lots of keys we need to find and puzzles we need to solve, and for the most part, they're all great. You even get a key from a jelly bean bag. Just know that to get the full experience, you have to play this yourself. No matter how many videos you watch about these games, you won't know how it feels playing it until you try it yourself. Also, remember how I said that? Are you afraid of refrigerators? There will actually be a, let's say, a traumatic incident with a refrigerator later on. Yeah, just watch out for suspicious refrigerators with hentai tentacles. Of course we kill a bunch of noses on the way. I decided to use the little X for that, for some variety. You can hit them while moving backwards, and they won't be able to hit you back. It's not strong like the big red hammer, but it's a nice and fast weapon. Though I used it too. Why is it called a hammer? It's more like a pickaxe. Remember those peaceful, shadowy children who never try to hurt you? Well, now they do try to hurt you. A lot. But that's not important. None of this is important. The puzzles and the enemies are just the side dish. This is the main event.
Harry?
We find Lisa, and she seems concerned. More than ever before.
I get it now. Why I'm still alive even though everyone else is dead. I'm not the only one who's still walking around. I'm the same as them. I just hadn't noticed it before.
Lisa.
Stay by me, Harry. Please. I'm so scared. Help me.
After saying that she's the same as them, Lisa starts to menacingly approach Harry. And Harry, who is understandably scared by this whole situation, pushes her away. And then we get probably the most iconic scene from this game. I hope you brought some tissues. This scene, this damn scene, it actually makes my stone-cold heart feel something. And damn it, the sad music keeps playing even after the cutscene ends. This game wants this feeling to linger inside of you. Like Sybil, Lisa was only trying to help. She was always there for us when we needed someone to talk to. She didn't deserve this. But unlike Sybil, Lisa wasn't really Lisa. She was just part of Alessa's memories that became real in this twisted reality. Like she said, she's the same as them, the enemy nurses we've been fighting, but because she didn't realize it at first, she kept her sanity. If Harry didn't get out of there, she would most likely attack him. She became just another monster. Does that mean that all of the nurses and other creatures can retain their sanity as long as they don't realize what they are? Were they normal at first, and then became corrupted versions of themselves? I don't know. Maybe she just disappeared. Since we never see her again, she was just another memory for Alessa. If we go back to where she was, we can find her diary on the floor, where we can learn more about her and even about Alessa. Lisa was just a normal nurse, until one day she was assigned to watch over Alessa, who was burned. Her burns were so severe, it didn't make sense how she could stay alive. That, combined with strange occurrences, like bugs getting inside despite the doors and windows being locked, have caused Lisa to realize that something ain't right with this kid. Lisa couldn't believe it. She couldn't handle it. It was driving her insane. She wanted to quit, but a nice supply of drugs kept her at bay. Yeah, remember all of that drug trafficking business? And how Kaufmann seemed more and more suspicious? Well, he was the one providing Lisa with drugs, so that she would keep looking over Alessa for him, and also not tell anyone about what she's experienced. Basically, he turned her into a drug addict, so he could use her as a puppet. Anytime she showed some hesitation, he just dangled those drugs in front of her. She was trapped. Now she's just another person taken by the nightmare, and her theme song is forever burned into my head. Saddest part in the game by far. As we descend deeper and deeper, we encounter glimpses of Alessa's spirit. It's like she's trying to hold on to whatever power she has left. Every place in this place holds some kind of significance to Alessa, like the hospital and the school, and of course, her bedroom. We find it, and it's apparent that despite her powers, despite everything she's been through, she just wanted to be normal. Just a normal child who likes to draw, sleep, and collect bugs. You see all of these bugs? All of the bug monsters and bosses we've been fighting probably came from those. Before getting to the end of the game, Alessa shows us exactly what happened. We see a flashback from around 7 years ago, where Dahlia and the other members of the cult are surrounding Alessa's burned body, while thinking about what to do with her. One of them is Kaufmann, because of course, not only did he engage in drug trafficking, he's also a member of a satanic cult. He's the perfect role model.
What do you think you're doing? Get out of here!
We get some major revelations here. They don't exactly give you all of the details in this cutscene, but I will fill in the blanks. This is the most important plot point, so pay attention. Basically, this cult has a mission. According to them, once upon a time, all humanity knew was pain and suffering. And if you go on Twitter, you can experience the same thing yourself. One day, after receiving many prayers from humans who wanted to escape their sad existence, a special god appeared and decided to help humanity avoid this pain and suffering. Apparently, humans didn't understand the concept of time, so God established a linear, measurable time, separating it into day and night. These humans were also immortal, so God took away their immortality and created death, which made people appreciate the freedom and liberation that comes from death? What? I mean, I don't think I would want to be immortal. It seems like a hassle, but at least give people a chance to choose whether they want to be immortal or not. Don't just take it away from everyone. One day, this god disappeared, but promised to return and show them salvation by creating a paradise on Earth, where everyone will be filled with joy and happiness. Sounds nice, right? Only if you think about it, their idea of salvation is to probably just accept death and escape from this reality. I mean, if they really don't want to be here anymore, they can just go ahead and end their own lives. No need for any gods or special rituals. Just boom and it's over. but I guess they want to drag all of humanity with them. They legitimately believe that this is the path to heaven. Apparently they didn't watch part 6 of JoJo's. The members of the cult kept being loyal to their beliefs, which they carried on for generations, waiting for the right moment to bring their god back. And now, many years later, we have these douchebags. They believe that they can give birth to their god. The only problem is that they needed to find a suitable vessel for this task. Because Alessa was born with psychic powers, somehow, Dahlia came to the conclusion that her daughter would be the perfect candidate to bring this god into reality. I wonder who the father is. Who was the man who actually fucked Dahlia? Whoever he is, she probably killed him because he forgot to go to church one time, or maybe he just went to pick up some milk after seeing how insane she is. After Dahlia offered her child as a sacrifice, the cult then performed a ritual on Alessa, which created a forced pregnancy. But Alessa, who understandably didn't want to give birth to a demonic god at the age of 7, used all of her powers to separate her own soul, which cancelled the ritual. This god was still inside of her, but it couldn't be born. Her soul was split in half. One half remained with her. The other one traveled just outside of Silent Hill, where it turned itself into a baby girl. Harry and his wife happened to stumble upon this baby and decided to adopt her, and they named her Cheryl. So yes, Cheryl was Alessa's other half. Cheryl is Alessa, just without the trauma and abuse. She's an innocent little girl with a loving family, which is all Alessa wanted for herself. When Cheryl turned 7, Dahlia and the cult used a
magical spell
to summon Cheryl to Silent Hill. Well, they didn't exactly summon her, but they made her feel like she wanted to go there, which made her ask her dear father if they could go there on vacation. Because Silent Hill is known as a vacation town, it made sense, and that's what we see in the opening cutscene. Just a father driving to vacation with his 7-year-old daughter, when suddenly Alessa's ghost appeared in front of them, causing them to crash. I'm assuming the cult members needed to wait for her 7th birthday because Alessa herself was 7 years old when she split her soul. So if she was 50 years old, would they need to wait 50 years? Anyway, pretty much the moment they got to Silent Hill, Cheryl was absorbed back into Alessa, which made it possible to resume the ritual. But Dahlia knew that Alessa would keep resisting, which is why she needed Harry to subdue Alessa for her. I guess she knew that Harry would come to Silent Hill along with Cheryl, and also had enough faith in him that he will be able to survive all of the weird and dangerous shit in this town.
Remember this?
That symbol was actually there to protect Alessa. For some reason, part of Alessa's ritual involved burning her like a witch. That's why we've been seeing these hanged bodies. It's Alessa's burned husk. At least I think it is. They burned a 7-year-old girl to induce a forced pregnancy in order to force her to give birth to an all-powerful satanic god. Bet you feel bad for calling her a creep earlier, huh, Harry? If you think about it, it's kind of similar to what happened in Fear. Only there it's even more horrible because the father of her children was her own father, and we don't need to talk about it now. Seriously, what is up with these people? At least in Fear they didn't need to burn her, at least she wasn't burnt alive. It's sad when that's the only positive thing I can say about it. Alessa's backstory is shown in more detail in Silent Hill Origins, where you can actually see the aftermath of the burning ritual. But Silent Hill Origins is weird. It's like a combination of Silent Hill 1 and 2. An attempted combination. You have Alessa and her backstory, but then you got the sexy nurses from Silent Hill 2 and the wannabe pyramid head. Damn, that was a long explanation. I hope I didn't miss anything. This whole conversation takes place where Alessa was hospitalized after the ritual, where Lisa was watching over her. It's here where we find the last item we need. By using all of the seemingly random items we collected in this place, we can open the last door. the final door that we open in this game. It leads us to Dahlia and Alessa's home, where they have some lovely pictures on the wall. Yeah, Dahlia was always crazy. If I were Alessa, I would have run away ages ago and joined a circus or something, where I could use my psychic powers to earn money. It's better than staying here. There are 2 jammed doors, so the only way we can go is down. Now that you have all of the necessary context and you know everything that happened, we can finally proceed to the final battle. This is it.
This is the final battle!
At the end of all of this, we find Dahlia. Next to her are Alessa's burned body and her spirit, which is Cheryl. She gives Harry the standard evil monologue, the well, you actually made it this far, She would have twirled her mustache if she had one. She then reveals her plans and explains how this god has been feeding off of Alessa's negative emotions.
For the 7 years since that terrible day, Alessa has been kept alive, suffering a fate worse than death. Alessa has been trapped in an endless nightmare from which she never awakens. He has been nurtured by that nightmare, waiting for the day to be born. That day has finally come. The time is nigh. Everyone will be released from pain and suffering. Our salvation is at hand. This is the day of reckoning, when all our sorrows will be washed away. When we return to the true paradise, my daughter will be the mother of God.
So, does that make you the grandmother of God? Alessa becomes whole again and is about to give birth. But wait, there's more. Remember how we saved that asshole, Kaufmann? Well, he suddenly shows up and shoots Dahlia.
Return things to how they were before.
Kaufmann!
Did I ask for this? Nobody uses me. You won't get away with this.
Your role is over. We don't need you anymore. What do you think you could accomplish by coming here?
My, aren't we getting cocky? Bet you can't see this.
A glove for this! I thought I got rid of that!
All I had to do was plant it somewhere for you to find. You all, well, it kept you busy. Ha! You're easy. And there's more where this came from.
Stop it!
Remember that bottle we found inside of the motorcycle, which he took from us? It's filled with that red liquid, which can supposedly exorcise demons. Dahlia called this liquid Aglaophotis. Aglaophotis, which is a herb that is occasionally mentioned in works on occultism. He takes it out and throws it at Alessa, intending to stop the birth of God. And it takes a really long time until it hits her. Like 20 seconds. Imagine how funny it would be if that would miss her after all of that build-up. It hits her, but something unexpected happens. Instead of stopping God from being born, it expelled him out of Alessa's body. Prematurely. If we hadn't saved him, then he wouldn't be able to come here and throw the bottle, which would lead us to fight this angelic form of Alessa, called the Incubator, and then we would get one of the bad endings. I don't really understand why he went against Dahlia though. We clearly saw him in the flashback, we know they had the same goals. Why did he decide to turn on her now?
He probably didn't care about the god, and just wanted to keep doing the drug business.
Oh, so now you're invested in the video? Maybe you should make the video then.
No! Keep working, slave.
Slave? How am I the slave? I literally own you. Whoa, okay. You're not gonna do anything about this? No? Yeah, okay. From his dialogue, it seems like she somehow used him, and that hurt his ego, so he decided to take revenge. Because God was forced out of her body, he was technically born prematurely, which means that he is incomplete. But it doesn't mean that he isn't powerful. He's still a threat. He's here. And he is pissed. I guess he inherited Alessa's anger towards her mother, because literally the first thing he does is kill her by burning her to death. Which is super poetic considering what Dahlia did to her, but now it's after us. Wait, why am I the only one fighting that thing? What about Kaufmann? He's got a gun, right? So yeah, meet God. God is pretty strong. Especially on the hardest difficulty. His name is actually the Incubus. An incubus is a demon in male form that seeks to have sexual intercourse with sleeping women. What the fuck? The corresponding spirit in female form is called a succubus. Oh, okay. I believe the reason he looks like this and not like a beautiful angel is because of how Alessa thought he would look. It's still based on her negative emotions and perceptions. We can even see it in one of our drawings. And I guess this one is supposed to be the first boss. That lizard thing with the weird mouth. So cute. Now we get to the really fucked up part of this game. More fucked up than anything I've said up until now. Which is, I seriously just noticed that I don't have the rifle. I clearly remember having a rifle at this point. I do have bullets for it, but they're useless to me now. Like, what am I gonna do with them? Throw them at the giant mosquito goat? Apparently, I could have picked it up during the second boss fight, but I just didn't. I just missed it. Look, it's right there. How could I have missed the rifle? How could I have been so stupid? How could you have done this? So anyway, the fight looks cool, but like all of the bosses, you just shoot until it dies. The bosses are not the point of these games. It's just there to show you that you've reached an important part of the game. It shows your progress. The music, if you can call it that, is super spooky. It sounds like the sounds you get from the radio, but way more distorted and disturbing. In terms of story and atmosphere, all of this is good. In terms of the gameplay though, it's kind of a giant piece of shit. It's kind of actually really terrible. The first boss is by far the best. The others are fine, but this one is so bad. Again, I'm talking about the hardest difficulty. If you don't have enough bullets left, then you're pretty much screwed and have to go to a previous save, because you cannot hit it with melee weapons. It's too far away. So pray that you explode enough and found lots of bullets. And also that you haven't used your guns much during the whole game. The same goes for health items, because this piece of shit hits really hard, and he will get you no matter where you run. The only way I found to kind of reliably avoid its attacks is to use the strafe buttons. Yeah, I forgot it existed. Besides the beginning of the game, where I did it just to show you that it could be done, this is literally the first time I'm actually strafe running. I'm circle strafing in a psychological horror game. I thought you only did that in boomer shooters. It's semi-reliable, but you have to do it in order to win. The moment you hear that he's about to attack, start running. No, even before that. Otherwise, he will stun like you and you will die. Because I did not have the rifle, and I didn't have a lot of bullets for the shotgun, I was mostly stuck with the pistol. The pistol given to us by Sybil, so it's like she's still with us. It barely did any damage to him, but I had a lot of bullets. The good thing is that he's stationary. He doesn't really move, so you don't need to chase him around. Fighting him was pretty agonizing. I died a lot. This was by far the most difficult part of the game. It wasn't fun at all, but eventually, I got him. Thank you, Sybil. You know, I don't understand what all the fuss was about. These psychos went through all of the trouble to bring a deity into this world, just so he would be shot by some random dude, which means anyone with a gun could have done it. That's quite a pathetic god. I mean, it was incomplete, but still. Regardless, it's over. It's finally over. I'm going to give you a break from my voice for a couple of minutes. I want you to soak in the atmosphere. And so, we've reached the end. I wanted to shut up and just play this out for you, because I really like this part, and I think that it's a powerful scene. After all of our struggles, all of the torture and abuse she had to endure, after everything she's been through, she still dies. All she ever wanted was to be a normal kid and live a normal life with her mother. That's it. But for some reason, fate just wasn't on her side. And yet, her legacy is not over. Just like King Piccolo and Piccolo Jr., she is reincarnated. Instead of giving birth to a satanic god, she gave, quote-unquote, birth to a new version of herself. A new life, full of hope and the freedom to live the life it wants to live, far away from this place. Well, until Silent Hill 3, that is. But we'll get to that later. For now, this is the best outcome Alessa could have hoped for. Her original self dies, along with Cheryl, but in some way she continues to live on. She opens a portal for Harry and the newborn baby, and allows them to finally escape this nightmare. Her corrupted reality is destroyed, and Silent Hill is free from the cult, at least for the time being. Oh, and Kaufmann gets dragged to hell by Lisa's spirit. She finally got her revenge. That's what you get for not helping out during the final boss fight, and also for all of that drug business. But that's less important. I just thought about something. The baby that Harry took is a reincarnation of Alessa, right? Which technically makes it the reincarnation of Cheryl, meaning he got Cheryl for the second time. Harry is the only person in the universe who adopted the same baby twice. Everything you've seen now is just one of the endings. There are 5 in total. The ending I got is considered to be the good ending. There's a good plus ending, where it's exactly the same, only Sybil also survives, and she escapes together with Harry. It is then implied that they raised the baby together, but as I've stated earlier, it's not canon. In the good plus ending, she got to Dahlia before Harry, and she tried to shoot Dahlia, but some kind of force field deflected her bullets. I guess Dahlia can create force fields now? Or maybe she's using the power of Alessa, like how she created a force field against Harry earlier? Then why didn't she do that against Kaufmann? I guess she was caught off guard.
Quit screwing around!
The bad ending is actually the first ending I've ever got, when I played it back in the day. This is considered to be the worst ending. It's what I've said earlier. Everything was just in his mind, and Harry dies in the car accident in the beginning of the game. Reminds me of some movie I watched. It's a sad ending, but I think the next one is even more depressing. In the bad plus ending, it's not a dream, and Harry actually has to fight his own daughter. She appears like a heavenly angel, but she still tries to kill you. I'm guessing the god is controlling her from the inside? After defeating her, she thanks Harry for everything, and disappears. And that's it. Harry is left shocked and confused. He drops down in disbelief while everything is collapsing around him. Despite all of his efforts, he couldn't save his daughter. Sybil gets there and slaps some sense into him. She tells him to go, to leave this place. Only there's no portal to take them outside. Alessa died before she could do that, so they presumably stayed in this place until it collapsed on itself. Which means that everyone in the story just died, and nothing was achieved. So yeah, not a good ending, but you know what the best ending is? By far? The UFO ending, or the UFO ending, as I like to call it. How could I not mention one of the best joke endings of all time? I mean, come on. Stop being silly. This ending appears in almost every game, and it's awesome. When you complete the game, you get a new file called Next Fear, which is essentially New Game Plus. If you find a special stone and use it at 5 specific locations, a cutscene will play where aliens appear in front of Harry. But Harry doesn't care that they're aliens. He treats them like any other person he encountered and asks them if they've seen Cheryl, just like he does with everyone else. In response, the aliens kidnap him, and that's it. The game ends before you even reach the final area. This is canon. This is the canon ending. I don't want to hear any objections. Even though the game makes it pretty clear that everything that happened was caused by Alessa's tortured mind, you can still find different interpretations. There's no actual way to know what's real or not. At least if we ignore the sequels. Maybe all of this did happen in Harry's head before he died in the car crash. Maybe Harry was drugged and everything is just a big hallucination. Maybe Harry is like Lisa. He's already dead, but he doesn't know it yet. Or maybe aliens are real and reality is controlled by a tiny dog. Wait, that's in the second game. In the canon ending, which is the ending that I got, Harry returns to reality, presumably outside of Silent Hill, and is finally able to go home. But do you think that this is the final scene of the game? No. No, it's not. Instead, the developers chose to end this with bloopers? What? I mean, I like it. I really like it actually. But it's so goofy. It shifts the tone completely. It's revealed that this whole game was actually a movie. And everyone were just acting. They were all actors. It was just a big prank, bro. We see characters mess up their lines. They start laughing in the middle of the session. Everyone is smiling. It's actually wholesome. Except for this part where Dahlia decides to kiss the camera. This is the scariest part of the game. No, I'm kidding, it's funny. And in the end, it didn't even matter. No. And in the end, we get the man himself. It's the scene where he wakes up at the diner. He gets up, does some hand motions, looks at the camera, and gives us a big smile. It's wholesome and goofy. I like it, what can I say? I guess this is the true ending. You can say that it ruins all of the mood and atmosphere the game has built up, that it completely destroyed it, and yeah, this part doesn't exactly scream psychological horror, but I guess the developers didn't want to leave players on a sour note, so they decided to put something funny at the end. Maybe they also did it for themselves, just for the fun of it. But yeah, that's it. It's over. Alessa's story has ended for now, but her actions will live on. And I'm not just talking about Silent Hill 3. The way I see it, every supernatural thing that happens in the other games are the result of Alessa's tortured psyche. Except Silent Hill Origins and the third game, and Shattered Memories, I guess, the events of the other games have nothing to do with Alessa herself. The town itself is bringing the characters to it, for some nice psychological torture. The town itself has power, and is acting independently, but that power came from Alessa. And because her power was incredibly strong, it remained in the town. Even after the first game, it became part of the town, known as Silent Hill. So basically, if Dahlia wasn't a bitch and didn't torture her own child just so she could give birth to some ugly flying goat creature, Silent Hill would just be another normal town. That's it. This is the end. I stretched this video way too much, huh? Part of me did it because I wanted to spend as much time as possible with this game. It's an important part of my life. All of these games are an important part of my life, and I know that it's going to be a long time until I play them again, because I will be moving on to other games, other projects. Maybe I'll have to wait another decade to play it. Who knows? What I do know is that I really enjoyed my time with it. It's an important game for me and for many people out there. We all had a shared experience thanks to these games. It's also obviously an important game in general. It evolved the horror genre beyond cheesy action schlock and presented new ideas for the gaming industry as a whole. The original Team Silent are legends that will never be forgotten. In their own way, they're as legendary as the original id Software team. It was sad watching Konami neglecting the franchise for the past decade or so. It seems they finally stopped being high on cocaine and finally remembered about it and are working on multiple projects. Well, not them. Other studios are working on it. I don't expect to get anything remotely as good as what the original team created, but I really hope that whatever they do with it now is actually going to be good. And more importantly, I really hope you enjoyed my analysis of this legendary game and my stupid jokes. If you liked it, please do all of the YouTube shit that YouTube wants you to do. Like, comment, subscribe, all of those algorithm stuff. It seems that lately, for some reason, YouTube doesn't want to promote my content, like, at all. Or maybe my titles and thumbnails are shit, and no one wants to click on my videos. I don't think they are though, but just the fact that you've watched up until this point means a lot. So thanks again. See you in Silent Hill 2, for an even more depressing story. Yay! And I'm talking about the original one, not the remake. Not yet. Thanks for watching.
Have you seen a little girl just turned 7 last month, short, black hair. My daughter.
Sorry.
What's this?